Hi everybody, it's Jen with Caketastic Cakes, and I'm going to show you how to upgrade your pie. So there are a lot of people who don't like to have cake, but you can still decorate a pie and make it look amazing for them and make it a special treat. I'm going to show you how I made Luffy from One Piece for my son for his birthday. I started with an apple pie, made my apple pie just like normal. I made a crumb top on top, and then I made a second batch of crust. And my crust recipe is 2¼ cups of flour, 3/4 cups of shortening, teaspoon of salt, and 3 or 4 tablespoons of very cold water. Normally you don't want to knead it too much, but this time go to town because you don't want the flakes as much as you want a solid image. Now I found a picture of Luffy that I liked, printed it out in the size I thought was good, and then I did the entire outline as you see. So that's going to be the background we build off of. Now I'm going to cut away his ears, his hat, and his neck and shoulders because you're going to start building layers and you don't want your layers to be weird. You don't want eyes coming out at you like telescopes. You want things to sit kind of naturally. So on the piece of pie crust I've got there that I'd rolled out nice and big, I cut out his hat. I left the little marks where his hair is going to go all around because that's going to come later. But his hat's going to be kind of in the middle depth. It's going to come forward away from his face and forehead, but it's not going to be set back past his face. So that's why we got kind of like a middle layer here. And again, I left the space for the hair. And what I'm doing with my knife is I'm making some cuts into just the hat layer. I'm not going deeper than that to do the straw effect of the weaving of his hat. I got a couple little pieces of the pie crust that are just a couple of rectangles that I'm going to fold over his shoulders to make his vest, as you can see. And I'm just wrapping it around and cutting it. If you find that you have small pieces that aren't sticking, you could brush the tiniest amount of water um, on the piece and it will stick to the other piece of crust. That's the word. All right, so we've got the hat, we've got his outline, we've got his vest. Now we're going to do his face. And with his face, I'm going to ignore his hair. I haven't cut it off because I don't want to mess it up, but I'm kind of making indentations with my knife through his hair to give me an outline of his head itself because I want his hair to come forward. That's going to be probably, yeah, the most forward part of him is going to be his hair. So once I have just his naked head, no ears or anything like that, I'm going to cut out his giant smile. And then very carefully, this was actually a pain in the butt to do, cut out his mouth, leaving just the outline around his teeth. And you want that because you don't want to put the teeth on top of his face. You want them recessed in his face, or it's gonna look weird. He's gonna be like crocodile face coming at you or something. Now, as far as the ears go, I had originally traced them on the very bottom level, and I'm gonna leave them there. I'm just gonna use my knife to make a couple little curves just to, outline the ear a little bit, make it look a little bit more like a ear, but I'm not gonna do anything more with that. I chose to ignore it. If you got more skill than me, go for it. Now, as far as the mouth, I'm going to do his teeth, but this is the very bottom layer I'm cutting through, and I'm cutting all the way through. And I'm using his face again as a template. I'm tracing his eyes, the curve of his eyes, and his scar on his face. My hand is in the way, so I just kind of skipped most of it. But I'm cutting through that face layer only, not the bottom layer. And make sure you give it like a good cut, like nice thick cut. So when it bakes, it doesn't close up shut again. So you can see I got some outlines of his teeth going up and down a little bit. I've got his eyes, I've got his scar. Kind of hard to see, but it is there. His nose is just a little teeny tiny anime triangle. So I just cut a little tiny, I have my rectangle piece there. I just cut a little triangle shape off and stuck it on top. His eyebrows are simply lines. So cut a very thin piece of crust. Use your face there as a template to see how big it is. And then also where it should sit, because they sit kind of high. And if you, again, if you need some water to make it stick, just a little tiny bit will make it stick. All right, so this is why I didn't want to mess with his hair when I was doing his head, because I want it in order to cut it out now. And I cut all of his hair out. It's kind of mess, kind of zigzaggy, which is exactly what you want. Doesn't have to be perfect. There is a little wiggle room for error here. But if you could see, there's like a little gap between his hat and the head that I outlined. So I pushed the hair down into it. So now it's kind of like wrapping around his head under the brim of the hat and coming forward a little bit. And he looks so good. Like I'm really happy with him. I did just a little curve, just like a crescent moon shape for the very top of his hat because it didn't print on my printer on the page I did. And that's it. So now you just transfer the whole thing onto your pie. This is why we do the entire outline on the bottom layer, so you have a good solid base to build on and it's easier to move. So there he is. You see he's smiling, he's happy, ready to go in the oven, bake like normal. When he came out, the mouth did open a little bit. I feel like the weight of the crust probably settled, but now he's laughing. So there you go. It doesn't have to be hard and you can make a really great pie. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe because it helps me out as well. I've got a ton of other videos out there, all decorations and recipes and things, so take a look. And as always, thanks for watching Caketastic Cakes.